I realized there was so much cynicism and skepticism out there when it came to giving your hard-earned money away to a charity. USA Today had done a poll, found 42% of Americans just flat out said we don't trust charities. More recently, there was a shocking study done that found 7 out of 10 people believe charities wasted their money. 70% of people believe charities wasted their donations. Like, you have one job, right? Charities are asking people to donate.
Do you think that's possible? Is there a
Well, some of it is valid. Some of
is
it
there
is
a sizable
absolutely
percentage of that charity? I mean, you hear stats like this, like, hey, 80% of their budget went towards internal stuff or marketing or whatever, and then we
Sometimes
judge
that's true.
that.
Yep.
But then also they may, like, for example, if they hadn't spent the money, maybe they'd make $0, right? So maybe the advertising money needed to come in for the 30%, right? So, like,
that's a
stats
whole
can
nother
lie.
podcast.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. There are some bad actors out there.
Yep.
And at the time, I remember, CNN, I think it was Anderson Cooper, would go and chase the bad charity CEO to the doors of his McMansion, right? He would slam the door in his face, and you learned, like, he hired his cousins and his nephews and everybody was on the payroll, and no money actually went to the cause, and it was a big direct mail scam or whatever. And then people throw up their hands and say, see, that's why I don't give.
Yeah.
So I got to, just by doing user feedback, ask people, what would the perfect charity look like? What would the business model look like that actually, because you can care about clean water. I mean, nobody was telling me that people should die of bad water.
Yeah.
Nobody was for humans drinking from swamps. But the system was broken. So I had the first thing I just kept hearing was, I want to know where my money goes. I want all my money to go to help people. There was only one charity that I'd come across that had solved this, and it was a charity in New York City that was started by a billionaire hedge fund manager. And he said, I'm so rich, I will pay all the overhead of my charity so that if you give any money to my charity, 100% will go right to the mission, which was education. So I remember writing him a letter, this great billionaire hedge fund. He never wrote me back. But I said, this is so smart. There's church and state between the overhead bank account and where all the public donations go. What if I could bootstrap this? So I went down to the bank, and I had a couple $100, and I opened up 2 separately numbered bank accounts with a very simple idea that all of the public money would go in the water account.
Yep.
And then somehow, in his other account, I would convince people to pay for overhead. That it was cool to pay for staff salaries of nonprofit workers, of an office one day, of the flights to Africa and India and Asia as we, would go and develop these partnerships and water programs. But, I could make this promise that every penny, every dollar, maybe we would raise money in euros one day, like everything would go straight to the field. So that was the first thing that I did. Then the second thing was kind of this cascading aha. Well, if money's not fungible, then couldn't I build really cool technology to track these small donations and show people the country or the village or the well that $8.13 built? And this dates Charity Water, but we were pre-Google Maps. So I met the founder of Google Earth as he was building the company, and he said, I'm building Google Earth, and you will be able to put up every single well that you ever build, every water project, for free on my new thing called Google Earth. And I was like, this is amazing. So then transparency became this second core idea of, if we could tell people that 100% of their money would go, and then we could show them where their money went, like, this would be we would outcompete 99.9% of charities in the world. This would be a unique advantage. And we could reinvent or reimagine the entire donation and giving experience. And then the third pillar was, I remember, I was involved in fashion. So I got exposed to really beautiful things and beautiful homes and high-end events. And I just remember looking at the charitable sector saying, where's the Apple?
Yeah.
Like, where's the Nike? Where's the Virgin of charities? Charities, they kind of suck. Like, the websites suck. They're asking us to read PDFs. They're shouting at us with statistics. And I remember a very famous charity, I won't throw them under the bus, but many years ago, there was a study done, And they found that 95% of the PDFs on their website had never received one download because people don't want to read PDFs of statistics. So, so many charities used shame and guilt to peddle their wares. And that's not what Nike did. Nike didn't tell people that they were fat and lazy. Go put away the bowl of Doritos and go for a run. Nike would storytell around people overcoming adversity.
Yeah.
Nike believes if you have one leg, you can climb Everest. Yeah. If you have one arm, you can win the shot put competition with your other arm. And people would rise to the occasion. They would be inspired to actually go run that first mile. And so I really was intentional about trying to build an epic, imaginative, inspiring brand that was focused on joy and fun and opportunity, and not shame and guilt. Not those Sally Struthers commercials, with the flies landing on the kid's face in slow motion as he locks eyes with the screen and the 800 number comes. So I put those three things together: 100% prove where the money goes, build a really beautiful brand. And then the most important thing is we would only work with locals in each of these countries. So I just believed for the work to be culturally appropriate, for it to be sustainable, we would have to create thousands of jobs. And no dude that looks like me should be running around Malawi with a hard hat on, pretending that I'm operating a drilling rig or that I have any, business becoming a hydrogeologist.